Next morning, my adventure on the Isle of Man continues, and I'm determined to make the most out of my last day here. So today we're heading off to Port Erin, but before we get there, there's one stop, I think an interesting one, we're gonna make. It's if you like airplanes and military and things like that, you're in for a treat. There's a nice museum called the Aviation and Military Museum close to the airport at Castletown. So this is gonna be a quick ride. I will see you there. The Manx Aviation and Military Museum offers an exhibit that tells the history and amazing story of the civil and military aviation in the Isle of Man, with a focus on the people who serve in the armed forces both on and off the island. One of the sections is dedicated to Manx Regiment, which is the most successful Allied anti-aircraft unit of the World War II. The regiment saw actions in England during the Battle of Britain and later in Africa, Italy, and other parts of Europe. This is the Manx Aviation Military Museum, and it's actually located 2 blocks away from the airport terminal, and it's also free, which is really nice, but donation is welcome. And it was formed in 1995 by the member of the Preservation Society, who each decided to donate all the artifacts they have and form a museum like this to commemorate and focus on the 1938 formation of Manx Regiment, which was sent to Liverpool in 1939 to defend the vital Porkson docks.
And this was to amount to 60 officers and 300 cadets. The regiment were...
Other exhibition contains many artifacts and mementos from this time period, from medals, commemorative tins issued to the servicemen from the Princess Mary, and postcards sent to the men serving at war. Those personal artifacts and their stories are both very moving and also inspiring, and those at the museum hope to do these servicemen justice by telling their real story at their time at war. The exhibition consists of everything from a single button to a full-size airplane. The artifacts in the collection include the relic from the aircraft accident, a rare self-propelled Bofors 40mm gun, and a rare unique items recovered from the Irish Sea.
Not throw them out too readily on medical.
Don't start anything.
The open-air exhibit includes a Bell-fed aircraft and a historic radar, as well as a memorial garden honoring the Canadian servicemen killed on the island during the World War II. I took a bus to a nearby Bellisella railway station, hoping to try out one of these really cool trains. But there's just one problem. Now I really want to try the steam train, but it's only every 2 hours, and the next one leaving in 50 minutes. I just don't want to waste time, let's put it this way. But the bus leaves every 15 minutes from here. I guess bus it is. Castletown is only 1/2 kilometers away from the museum. The town is made out of 4,000 residents along its small winding street, picturesque fishing cottages along the harbor, and a Viking castle that towers over the center of the town. This is what I'm going to sugar up before conquering this town. Alright, so we arrived in Castletown. Actually, the bus will drop you off right across to the castle, and there's a nice spot here for you to have lunch, and that's what I'm going to have. So same thing is co-op across the street. Meal deal, cheap meal, 3.5 pounds. You get a main, this time no sandwich. I'll go with a salad, a drink, and as well as a snack. I'm going with pineapple this time. One of my favorites. Castletown was the capital of the island until 1869 and its root can be traced back to 1090. This building is a former meeting place of the House of Keys. Originally, Tynwald had 32 members and by 12th century, this dropped to 24 members. By the 16th century, Tynwald consists of upper and lower house. The lower house was known as 24 Keys. By 1869, Douglas has replaced Castletown as the capital of the island. This building was considered too small to serve the lower house of the Tynwald, and in 1874, the House of Keys was also moved to the courthouse in Douglas. Across from the old House of Keys is the mighty Castle Rushen overlooking the market square. The Castle Rushen is one of the best preserved medieval castles in the world and was once home to the king and the lord of man. Today it serves as a museum and an educational center complete with era-accurate decoration and lifelike settings, earning a reputation as the best example of a medieval castle in Europe. The construction is thought to have taken place during the 10th century reign of the ruler, the King of Man and the Isles. The oldest artifacts were found dated to 947 and includes a reference to the last King of Man, Magnus Olafsson, which is believed to have died in the castle. The castle was developed by successive rulers of the Man between 13th and the 16th century. The limestone wall dominates much of its surrounding landscape, serving as a point of dominance for various rulers of the Isle of Man. By 1313, the original keep reinforced with a tower to the west and the south. In the 14th century, the east tower, gatehouse, and a curtain wall were added. The keep of the Castle Rushen's first line of defense is an 8-meter high outer wall, protected by a drawbridge and a fortified inner guest house entrance with 2 portcullises. The castle also includes a medieval chapel housing the castle's clock mechanism. The still functioning Castle Rushen's clock is a notable landmark in Castletown, having been presented by Queen Elizabeth I of England in 1597 while she controlled the island during a dispute. The castle exchanged hands repeatedly between the Scots and the English. The Isle of Man was transferred to Scotland the year after the Magnus Olafsson's death as part of the Treaty of Perth, ending the 1263 to 1266 Scottish-Norwegian War. On May 18, 1313, the Scottish King Robert the Bruce invaded the Isle of Man at Ramsey. The island was captured in 5 days. The only resistance occurred at the Castle Rushen, which is defended by Duncan MacDowell. So we made it to the top right here. My goodness. There's a flag right there. As the defensive value of the castle declined, it was in continuous use as an administrative center. In the 18th century, a mint was located within its ground, as with a still active Selden Law Court. The Manx law books were also stored in the Lord's Treasury within the castle. The castle was also occasionally used as a meeting place in the 16th century for the 24 Keys, where it has no permanent residence until 1710. The 18th century saw the castle in steady decay. By the end of the century, it was converted into a prison. During the Castle Rushen's service as a prison, it held both men and women, with children born by the serving prisoners being allowed to live with their mothers within the prison wall. In 1988, the control of the castle was handed over to a Manx National Heritage for restoration. It was officially opened to the public in July 1991 by the Earl of Derby as the first major Manx heritage site. So, if I'm not mistaken, I was invited to the banquet here. Hi guys. Hi. Mannequin can't talk. But we have a roasted pork. And I think it's turkey and all the other goodies. Bon appetit! Most rooms are open to the public during the opening season between March to October, and all the rooms have signs telling their stories. The exhibition includes a working medieval castle where authentic period food is prepared on special occasions. As well, reenactment of various aspects of medieval life are held on a regular basis. By the way, Castle Rushen is said to be haunted by a lady ghost walking the castle's drawbridge. So, if you're afraid of ghosts, don't come nearby at night. Be warned.